Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Pool Chapter 74, and this one is titled Treatment. You, in that shade of lipstick, is unprofessional. I couldn't concentrate in class, Hazashi replied to you, half joking, but also half serious. What are you, 16? You chuckled. You need to calm down. Who did your makeup? It's different from this morning, he asked. That would be Nimiri, you replied. She did a wonderful job. Well, Shota is going to have to step up his game when he gets back, or I might just try and serenade his girl. Hazashi didn't mean for his comment to rip your heart open, but it most certainly did, and you grimaced a little and looked away to collect yourself before looking back at him again. Well, I don't know how Aizawa feels about me anymore, you admitted sadly, dropping a gaze to the floor. Did he say something to you? The loud blonde asked in an unusually quiet voice. You nodded, still staring at the floor. Your voice broke a little, and Hazashi placed a hand on your shoulder comfortingly. He is still under the control of a quirk, remember? But let's not talk about it now. We'll discuss over dinner. You nodded again, looking back up at him and then at the ceiling to stop your tears from spilling. It's been an emotional afternoon, you admitted, with a little embarrassed chuckle. He smiled and stepped back to give you the double finger guns. Some days are just crap, he said brightly, but stay classy. You couldn't help but chuckle and then turned to leave. I'll go and do some work in the staff room and then go and check on Aizawa, you said as you left. Thank you for covering the next class. Thank you in advance for dinner, he called out after you, half of the school grounds hearing his reply. You shook your head with an embarrassed look on your face and disappeared back to the safety of the now empty staff room. Honestly, you did try and get a little bit of work done, but Aizawa was weighing heavily on your mind, and you couldn't concentrate on anything else. Glancing at the clock, you decided to go and check on how Aizawa was doing, and so pulled yourself up and headed back down to Recovery Girl's room. Knocking on the door, you felt your anxiety spike, and she finally opened the door and looked up at you. Oh, do come in, Miss Lin, she said. You nodded and stepped inside, your eyes meeting Aizawa's. He just gave you a bored look and looked away. Well, I have found someone who can help us, Recovery Girl said, but they can't get here until after school hours. Okay, so I will keep Aizawa here until then. You nodded and looked at Aizawa. How are you? You asked gently. Fine, he replied gruffly. Why did I even bother asking? You thought with a sad look on your face. I will ring you when we've finished here, Recovery Girl said, and you nodded and turned to leave because it was obvious that Aizawa didn't want you there at all. All the best, you said softly as you left, trying to keep your chin up so that you didn't cry again. As soon as the last bell rang, Hazashi was in the staff room to take you to dinner. He was very excited at the prospect of having some outside of school time with you, but you, again, were so preoccupied with the whole Aizawa situation that you just wanted it to be over with and done with, as your sleeping bag man seemed to be getting more and more annoyed with your presence. So, what happened? Hazashi asked once the two of you were seated at the small cafe down the road from UA. Well, first of all, I don't know how much Aizawa has told you, you replied hesitantly to him. Ah, yes, I know vague details, Hazashi said loudly in a cheeky voice. Shh, you hushed him. Keep it down. You glanced at the other patrons there. Well, we actually started dating, but it was being kept quiet until we were ready to announce. He was going to make it public this Friday, but now I don't know what's happening. Hazashi gave you a sympathetic look. I'm sorry, Yin, I didn't know you two were dating already. It's okay, like I said, it was being kept secret, you replied. But when I left him with Recovery Girl this afternoon, I heard him say that there was no way that he would ever consider dating me, so it appears that he's forgotten. That's rough, Hazashi said, taking a sip of water. Once they lift the quirk, he should go back to normal though, yes? Well, that's what I'm hoping for, he said sadly. But what if he doesn't? He will, Hazashi said with a smile. I have faith. Thanks, he said with a soft smile. Recovery Girl said that she would call when they had finished treating Aizawa. No sooner had you said that, your phone rang, and you grabbed it out of your bag and put it to your ear. Hello? Yes? Yes, he's ready? Okay, I'm coming. And with that very short conversation, you hung up and stood up. Hazashi, I'm so sorry, I have to go. I'm coming with you, he said, standing up and signalling to the waitress to come over. He asked for the food to be placed in takeaway containers, then the two of you left and headed back to UA. It was a short walk back to the school grounds and very quiet. You were in your own little world, so Hisashi just hummed and whistled as you both walked back. You made a beeline for the infirmary and pushed the door open with a small nod of greeting to everyone in the room. Aizawa looked up at you and you gave him a small nod, which he returned. How are you feeling? You asked him hesitantly. Much better, he replied, and you smiled. Oh, that was a different response from before. Miss Lin, I believe you and Aizawa work closely together? The other doctor in the room asked you. Yes, we do, you replied him. May I have a word with you? There are some things I want to discuss regarding Aizawa's recovery. Yes, of course, he said with a smile, following him out into the hall, then down it a little so you could have a private conversation. Miss Lin, Aizawa appears to have been affected by a quirk that only targets his thoughts and feelings towards someone he cares deeply about, the doctor said gently. And there ends chapter 74. Stay tuned for chapter 75 coming tomorrow.